An undercover CEO spotted a black line cook slicing meat at 3 a.m. and uncovered the real reason she never made it to college. The sharp rhythm of her knife tapping against the board echoed through the deserted kitchen like an unforgiving clock. Tuck. Every clean slice, every flawless cut carried the focus of someone who didn't just know her craft, she lived it. David Mitchell adjusted the brim of his janitor's cap and peeked through the slightly open kitchen door. There she was, Kesha Williams, 34, working through nearly 50 pounds of beef before dawn on a Tuesday, alone in the same restaurant he had built from scratch 15 years earlier. Her hands glided with an almost hypnotic precision. No fumbling, no hesitation, just discipline carved into muscle memory. David found himself wondering how a woman with such talent had ended up stuck in the graveyard shift at a Cleveland eatery. "Damn," Kesha whispered, pausing just long enough to swipe a bead of sweat from her brow with her gloved wrist. When her eyes closed briefly, David caught something buried deep in that moment. Not exhaustion, but the heaviness of someone carrying battles no one else saw. For half a year, disguised as Dave the maintenance guy, David had been observing unsettling behavior inside the Golden Fork. Sudden firings without explanations, always the same type of employee. Customer complaints funneled directly to manager Robert Chun instead of HR, a troubling pattern. Black staff members disappearing from the schedule at an alarming rate. Suddenly, Kesha looked up, as if she could feel him watching. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second before David bent over his cart pretending to rearrange supplies. "Dave, why are you just standing there?" she called out, her tone a blend of surprise and controlled annoyance. "Don't you start cleaning at 4? "Oh, hey, Kesha," David answered, wheeling the cart into the kitchen. "Chun told me to start early today." He kept up his disguise. "Do you always work this late?" She resumed slicing, though now her movements carried a settled tension. "Somebody's got to prep lunch," she said. "Chun hates last-minute work." It was a lie, and they both knew it. Meat prep was always done in the morning. David knew the manual by heart. "Chun seems strict," he said casually, while pretending to wipe down a counter. "He was yelling at Tamara yesterday, something about reservation mix-up." Kesha's grip tightened on her knife. "Tamara didn't miss any reservation," she said quietly. "I saw her write it down." A chill shot through David's spine. "What do you mean?" he asked carefully. Kesha stopped cutting and looked directly at him. David recognized that expression, the look of someone who had swallowed injustice for years and finally reached the limit. "Have you ever had a dream that someone ripped away from you?" Bitterness in her voice hit him like a punch, and in that instant he understood why a woman so skilled was carving meat at 3 a.m. "Why do you ask?" he murmured. Kesha's smile had no happiness in it. "Because tomorrow, some people are finally going to learn that messing with the wrong woman has consequences. And something tells me you're not who you say you are." The air between them crackled. David realized he had been completely underestimating her. Kesha wasn't just surviving. She continued cutting, but now each movement carried the weight of someone preparing for war. "You want to hear about stolen dreams?" she asked, wiping the blade clean with slow care. "Then let me introduce you to Chef Kesha Williams." The word dropped like a bomb. 5 years ago, I was the youngest sous chef in the history of Meridian Heights, only the most elite restaurant in Cleveland. 80-hour weeks, 6 years of grinding. I ran a team, built the tasting menu, won awards. David felt his stomach twist. Meridian Heights was legendary, nearly impossible to get into. How had someone like her landed here? What happened? Robert Chun happened. Her voice turned cold. She explained how Chun, then general manager of Meridian, had spent months making advances she repeatedly rejected. How one night, under the fake promise of a partnership opportunity, he lured her into his office only to try forcing himself on her. She left immediately. The next day, money miraculously disappeared from the safe. Kesha was accused of theft, conveniently backed by false camera claims, and was fired, arrested, blacklisted. Then Chun planted the money in her car and called the police. "Couldn't you prove it?" "With what lawyer?" she shot back. "A black woman accused of stealing from the city's most prestigious restaurant? They destroyed my name overnight." "And then Chun came here?" David whispered. "Oh, he got promoted. Now he manages multiple locations. And the best part? He personally hired me. Thought it was funny." "Why stay?" Her answer was ice cold. "Because sometimes the best way to destroy an enemy is to stand right next to him." She studied him closely. "You're sharp. Not like the other janitors. You notice things. You were in the management office last night, weren't you? Almost like you were investigating. David stayed silent, but her smile said she already knew. Tomorrow morning, Chun will call a staff meeting. Fire only black employees. Again, her knife tapped rhythmically. But tomorrow, he'll also find out he's not the only one with recordings. You have recordings? David asked, pulse rising. 5 years' worth. Every racist remark, every predatory comment, every fabricated incident, but that's not enough. I need corporate files. David swallowed. You knew who I was, since the second day, she replied with a soft laugh. Real maintenance workers don't analyze food costs or moisturized hands. Then she said his real name, Mr. Hayes. David froze. So the question is, are you here to protect Chun or expose him? He took a breath. I'm here for the truth, because I'm not stopping until Chun's entire empire burns. And she wasn't exaggerating. Kesha had gathered emails, financial patterns, HR directives, and recordings, all proving systematic discrimination. She had even connected with Marcus, Tomorrow's lawyer brother, who had been building a case quietly for weeks. When the meeting happened the next morning, everything unfolded exactly as she predicted. Chun announced layoffs, all people of color. Kesha confronted him. Marcus walked in with legal documents, and David stepped forward, removing his disguise, revealing himself as the CEO. Chun's empire collapsed in minutes. Kesha presented recordings of him using slurs, plotting to fire black employees strategically, covering up harassment cases, planting evidence. Emails, transcripts, and audio played on a speaker for the entire staff to hear. Employees watched in stunned silence as Chun's confidence shattered into panic. Federal agents arrived before he could leave the building. He was arrested for civil rights violations, workplace discrimination, and corporate fraud. Every fired employee was reinstated. Kesha was promoted to head chef. 3 months later, under her leadership, the restaurant became the top-performing location in the chain. Record sales, 0 discrimination complaints, and the highest employee morale since the company's founding. David visited her in the kitchen. You built something extraordinary. Kesha smiled gently. Justice isn't just punishing the guilty, it's ensuring no one else suffers the way I did. Meanwhile, Chun, once a powerful manager, was stocking shelves in a discount grocery store, reputation destroyed, life in ruins. And Kesha Williams, she went from a woman whose dreams had been stolen to a chef whose power no one could deny again. Subscribe to our channel below.